News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. And you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you to retire that job and keep that paycheck. With me this morning is Brice Payne, and we're going to be talking about spotting problematic personalities of rogue advisors. Brice, this ought to be a good show.
I'm looking forward to it. Doug, how are we doing?
We're doing good.
Good. Happy weekend to everybody out there. And, you're listening to us on the radio. I will mention that, again, you can always catch our broadcasts on our YouTube channel, Wealth Guardians, on YouTube. If you want to see Doug and myself or Garrett on the show here recording these shows, as well as our Vault episodes. If you do tune into that, you'll notice that Doug is normally wearing glasses at this particular time. And right now, Doug, your glasses are sitting on the radio console here. Why is that?
So this past week, I had cataract surgery, and it's nice to be able to see again.
Yes. Yeah, congratulations.
It's amazing. You know, I got the cataracts because last year I had such issues with my back. They gave me a lot of steroid injections. Had no idea that they could cause cataracts, but they really did, and it was a bad case of them. But had the surgery this week, and it's all went well so far.
Great. And so now you can tune into the games and watch the Panthers lose.
I can even see the numbers at the bottom.
Oh, yeah?
Time elapsed, the quarter.
You couldn't see those, huh?
Could not. I mean, it's all blurry.
You couldn't tell if it was first quarter or fourth quarter or even what game you were watching for that matter.
Almost.
Yeah. So, not Panthers. The Pirates struggling so far.
Hey, they've played number 2 in the big house.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say? For the most part, I was happy with that team. They fought hard. They never gave up. I think we got some shoring up to do in our secondary, but I'm hopeful and positive about the team this year.
Very good. Well, I'll have to eat a little crow myself because I sat here and told you that I didn't think my CU Buffaloes weren't worth a dime, and thought that Coach Prime, Neon Dion, was a lot of hype and whatnot. Wasn't too convinced he was going to be worth the money that he required to bring in over there. But I'll tell you what, he turned a team around that was second at the very bottom of the NCAA last year. We went and beat number 17, who was in the college championship game last year, TCU.
That was a fun game to watch. And I'll tell you what, his kid at quarterback was amazing.
He broke some records.
Yes.
He broke some serious. So it's amazing what just some attitude and some enthusiasm, that's what he brings is really. Anyway, so enough chit chat about football. What we want to chit chat for here on out as we get into the show is spotting problematic personalities of rogue advisors. Doug, before we do that, why don't you throw out the Wealth Guardian Service salute there?
Yeah, absolutely. As we always like to do in our radio program at the beginning is to say thank you for your sacrifices, everything you do for us, all our veterans, our service members, our first responders. We know you sacrifice, your family sacrifice for us, so thank you very much from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you indeed. Doug, finding a trustworthy and competent financial advisor is essential for securing anyone's financial future and their financial health. I mean, after all, they play a role in a vital role, really, in helping you make informed decisions about your money, your investments, your long-term financial goals. But the question becomes, how can you separate the wheat from the chaff? Always love that phrase. How can you identify problematic personalities that might indicate an advisor isn't the right fit for you? And what we're going to find out in today's episode as we explore how to identify the ghost, the jargon juggler, the chameleon, and several more, and what should you do out there if you encounter them. So Doug, I wanted you to be in this episode here. So I was waiting for you to come back. You had a couple of things going on the last couple of weeks, so it was me and Garrett in the radio studio. But I wanted to wait for you, particularly because you've been in this field for 30-some years. You have worked with a number of different advisors. You and I have been working together for almost 6 years now. But before I came along, you'd worked with many others. So you've been in this business. You've seen what advisors are made of and kind of the flash in the pan kind of people. So let's talk about the ghost. The ghost, this type of financial advisor, he disappears after making the initial deal. They're nearly impossible to contact or get a hold of, even when you have pressing questions or concerns. Talk about the ghost or...
Yeah, this is a salesman. I
Okay.
mean, he's in there for a sale and that's it, and they're gone. And, I'll tell you this, I've been in this business 35 years, and I have seen a lot of just shadiness from financial advisors. And I realize this is a tough business. But if you do the business right, then you're going to be successful. You don't have to be shady. Everybody knows of Bernie Madoff, but in 35 years, I've seen probably dozens of these advisors, and they get caught eventually.
Yeah, we see them in the newspaper, in the Winston-Salem newspaper.
They go to jail.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. But the ghost is a salesman.
Okay.
And he's there for a one-hit wonder, and off he goes again to find somebody else.
To get your name on the paper, to get your signature on there, and then to move on. All right. If you are just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray and Brice Payne. And this morning we're talking about spotting problematic personalities of rogue advisors. And so you should tune into this, listen up, perk your ears up here. If you have an advisor, see if anything here is ringing true. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully you've got a sound advisor that you're working well with and you're happy with the performance and the way that they communicate with you. That's what we're hoping for everybody. But see if anything here is ringing true with your current relationship. And then if you don't have an advisor out there, you've never had one, perhaps part of that reason is you're skeptical of the field as a whole, kind of like used car salesmen. There's been some shady ones out there, and the name sometimes precedes, the reputation precedes its name. So the next one we're going to talk about is the one-trick pony, Doug, and let me brief this one up. If you're being told that all your financial fears and problems can magically be solved by the financial product, if you will, that's being dangled in front of you, be careful. Planning for retirement is complex and it's rare, and one product meets all your needs. That is rare. If they're telling you one product meets all your needs, that's where you got to be a little skeptical. Doug, what's your experience with the one-trick ponies?
Yeah, this is similar to the ghost, but in this situation, the one-trick pony, still a salesman, but they are saying that their plan will solve all your needs. I remember in Charlotte on the radio down there is an advisor who says he has a one-page retirement plan. Now, come on. Retirement planning is way more difficult, more complicated than one page. I bet ours are 60 some odd pages?
I don't even like the sound of that. That just sounds sketchy. I'm surprised how that resonates with somebody.
Surprisingly, he does well.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So that's the one-trick pony. If you suspect that your advisor is either a ghost or a one-trick pony, and you think to yourself, maybe what I'm hearing from Doug and Brice is my situation. How would I know? You're asking yourself, how would I know if what they're saying applies to me? Doug and I have an answer for you on that. You pick up the phone and you give us a call. So here's the number. It's 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. You can also visit us at our website, thewealthguardians.com. If you are so inclined, you can set up an appointment with us to come in and sit down and let Doug, Garrett, and myself evaluate your current situation. We are holistic financial planners. We are fiduciaries. Any recommendations that we make to you on how to improve your retirement portfolio, we are obligated to make recommendations that are in your best interest. We do not work just off of the suitability stature. It is the fiduciary stature. So please consider that. There is no cost or no obligation for sitting down with us, just other than that of your time and your gas to come to our offices in Clemens. All right. So again, 336-391-3409 is how you reach out to us. We'd love to sit down with you and see what services or suggestions we might provide. And maybe then you can realize, hey, here is somebody that I can contrast with my current advisor, and I am now realizing that maybe the one I've been sitting down with for the last few years is that one-trick pony, or is that ghost who doesn't like to return my calls. All right, Doug, let's move on to the third one here before we go into break. The jargon juggler.
Yeah.
The jargon juggler. This is the advisor who confuses clients with a barrage of technical financial terms, jargon, and buzzwords.
Yeah, this is a person who's really trying to show off, I think.
Yes.
Brice and Garrett and I have advanced degrees, and we know how to speak delta and beta and, any kind of stochastic words you want to talk about. But what I learned many, many, many years ago is as you present complicated data to people, just boil it down to the common terms they understand. Listen to them and then turn around and then just recite it back to them as they would understand it. Don't use these complicated financial terms.
No, I have a background in education, and I like to bring kind of that education approach when I'm sitting down with a client and making sure that at the end of that 4-meeting process that we go through, that they have understood fully what it is I'm talking about. I'm not going to be successful at doing that if I'm using all these words where I'm trying to impress them. Yeah, they might walk out of the meeting thinking this guy knows what he's talking about, but did they understand anything that I was really trying to communicate to them if I'm using words that are over their head? So I really do try to bring the conversation to a level that's going to resonate with them. So the jargon juggler is one that really kind of eats at me, somebody who's just using those words to impress somebody. If you have to impress somebody with your lingo, do you really have much that you can fall back on that is substantive?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the first segment here, and we've got to go to our trivia question. So, Doug, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done this. Are you ready? Do you know how this works? Do you remember?
I think I remember, and I think I got the last one right.
Oh, all right. Congratulations. Well, hopefully we get this one right as well. Break out the dinger here. All right. Here we go. Doug, on September 6th, 1522.
Oh, come on.
The Spanish ship Victoria became the first ship to do this. On September 6, 1522, the Spanish ship Victoria became the first ship to do this. Doug says, come on, because I throw out some of these historical ones going back a ways. It's been a while since I went back as far as 1522. But, Doug, you were in the Navy. Garrett was in the Navy. You have a Navy background. That is why I'm throwing this.
But not in 1522.
No, but you still know this. On September 6, 1522, the Spanish ship Victoria became the first ship to do this. All right. Stick around for the answer to that trivia question and to see if we stumped Doug on the other side of this short break. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray, and the show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. You're listening to The Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne along with Doug Ray. And in the second segment, we're going to continue talking about how to spot those problematic personalities of rogue advisors. Now, before we get to our trivia question, I've got 2 questions for you. A, are you looking forward to your retirement? Well, of course you are. That's a silly question, right? Do you want to make sure that you're making the best financial decisions for your retirement? Well, let's make it 2 for 2. 2 silly questions there. Of course you are. So if you answered yes to those, then I've got great news for you. So does Doug and so does Garrett. We here at the Wealth Guardians offer a no-cost, no-obligation second opinion/review of your retirement plan. This includes a deep analysis of your assets, your investment portfolio, your insurance policies, your income needs, your risk tolerance, your risk exposure, your tax mitigation strategies, your legacy goals, and even the fees that you're currently paying. Our goal is simple. We want to help you lower your fees, align your risk, and improve your overall retirement picture so you can indeed retire the job and keep the paycheck. But the ball is in your court. You have to give us a call. So here's our phone number, 336-391-3409. You've been listening for a long time now. You've heard me say that number time in and time out, week after week. But write it down, 336-391-3409. I'm here to help you. Doug's here to help you. Garrett's here to help you. Give us a call. Visit us at thewealthguardians.com to set up your financial plan review with the 3 of us today. I urge you to remember this. The markets are not going to wait for you. Okay, having said all of that, let's get back to our trivia question here. I got to break out my dinger, my buzzer here for Doug. Doug, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. On September 6th, just a few weeks ago, 1522, September 6, 1522, the Spanish ship Victoria became the first ship to do this. This can't be a hard question for you.
Thank you for an 8th century old question.
At least you did the math over the break.
All right, this is a guess. 1522, September. I'm going to say this is the first Spanish gold galleon that went down in a hurricane.
Oh, I thought, all right. I told Doug that I had an extra clue for him here if he was struggling at this. Think the name. It was commanded by Portuguese explorer Magellan, Ferdinand Magellan. Does that give you any clue?
Yeah.
What was it?
So that one was the first one to circumnavigate the world?
There we go. The first one to go down in a hurricane.
I like my first guess better.
We don't know which one was the first one to go down in a hurricane because we never heard back from it. Yes, it was commanded by Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan. It set sail from Spain on September 20th, 1519 to find a better route to Indonesia. The expedition started with 5 ships and 260 crew. Magellan himself died during the voyage, and only Victoria and 18 crew returned to Seville, Spain, after circumnavigating the world for the first time. So they went down from 260 crew to 18 crew. Doug, you were in the Navy. That's why I gave you that trivia question. You were never on an expedition that went down from 260 members to 18 members. No. That's a lot of...
Never lost a crew member.
That's a bad percentage. And if you think that your retirement percentages are just as bad, then I want you to give us a call at 336-391-3409 because you deserve a better route to circumnavigate your retirement than what Magellan and his crew had.
And just to be clear, you never did give me the Ferdinand name.
I didn't. I did. You could have asked for the second clue and I would have given it to you. But all right, you got it with the clue though. Good job. All right, so let's move on now. We're going to continue talking about spotting problematic personalities of rogue advisors. In the first segment, we talked about the ghost. That's the guy who won't return your calls. The one-trick pony who has that miracle answer for everything. This one financial product is the answer to all of your what ails you. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's the one-trick pony. The jargon juggler. That's the guy who tries to dazzle you with big words and whatnot that you don't know what the heck he's talking about. And then now we're moving on to the conversation hog here, mm-hmm. Doug. You and I have seen this guy. I don't think I need to go into much more explanation about what the conversation hog is. We've seen him. We know what their shtick is about. Tell me your experience with that kind of advisor.
Well, this one reminds me of your typical used car salesman.
Oh, yes.
Yes. They just yak all the time. And, they won't let you ask a question. They're trying to impress you with their knowledge and all that stuff. The thing is, I learned a long time ago that we're not really salespeople. We're problem solvers. And to be a problem solver, you've got to listen to your client and then understand their needs, their goals, their questions, and solve those problems and answer those needs, goals, and questions in simple terms they understand. That used car salesman or car salesman, how often do they ask you, tell me about the kind of car that you're looking for? Tell me why you're selling the car that you currently have. What's been your issues with it? We go through a 4-meeting process with our clients. That first meeting is what we call the discovery meeting. That's where I am doing very little talking. I'm asking the questions, but then I'm sitting back and listening to what whoever is sitting in the chairs with Garrett and myself or you, what they're sharing with us about them. Everybody's retirement has some similarities in there. I mean, nobody wants to run out of money sooner than they pass away, of course. So those are similarities. But what they're doing in retirement, what they want their retirement to look like, what they're afraid, those hurdles that they're afraid that'll keep this from happening, what keeps them up at night, those are long-ended questions that is different for everybody. And if I'm doing more talking, particularly in that first meeting, then something's wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm there to listen. And yes, maybe in the third meeting, now I start talking after I've listened, but that comes later. So yeah, the conversation hog, that's a big red flag for me if I was sitting down with somebody. What percentage of that meeting did you listen? And what percentage of the time did you talk? And that's one to certainly watch out for. If you are just tuning in this second segment, you're listening to Doug and Brice, myself here, continue our conversation on spotting problematic personalities of rogue advisors. And now we're going to move on from the conversation hog, Doug, the expensive but the empty suit. And I want to encourage you out there, if you're sitting down with a financial advisor, don't be fooled by the advisor who spends most of his time trying to impress you with the expensive clothes, the fancy office,
the general abundance of style, accompanied by a lack of substance. There's certainly nothing wrong with your advisor being financially successful. In fact, that's almost certainly something that you want to see from the person who's giving you financial advice. But you don't want to work with someone who uses that flashiness. Doug, what is your experience with that guy?
That's an interesting question because in this business, if you go back to the stockbroker days, and that's how I got my start in this business, we always wore nice suits. It was just expected. It was like a uniform, especially at Merrill Lynch. The pinstripe suit, the white shirt, and the power tie kind of thing. That was normal. And what you look out for is somebody who dresses above and beyond that, maybe a lot of gold hanging off of them, that kind of thing. And then they flash their sports car or something like that. I never did really like that type of an advisor. I think what they're trying to do is show off themselves more than they try to help their clients with their knowledge base. And, if you look at us, we don't wear suits. And the reason we don't wear suits is because 99% of our clients don't come in here wearing a suit, So we dress appropriately the way our clients dress.
Whatever's going to make them feel comfortable.
That's exactly right. I want them to come into my house feeling comfortable.
Okay.
And feel like it's their house too.
Yeah, and this is, you and I are here, Garrett, you and me are here sometimes 12 hours a day, and we want this place to feel like a home sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a good one. The expensive but empty suit, that's not what translates to a sound financial plan.
It is not.
All right. If you do want a sound financial plan, let me answer you this. You might ask yourself, well, what is a financial plan? Financial plan, here's the definition. It's a comprehensive evaluation of an individual's current pay and future financial state by using current known variables to predict future income, asset values, and withdrawal plans. So now ask yourself, do you have that? Do you have a financial plan? If you're approaching retirement, let's say that you are 58 years old, 57, whatever it is, and you're a couple of years away from retirement, you start seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, you're going to retire at some point, and your paychecks are going to stop. Do you have a financial plan? Well, financial plans do not create themselves. And yeah, you could try to create your own financial plan, but I would really highly suggest that you do that with a professional. What kind of professional? Well, somebody who is a financial planner, somebody who is a fiduciary. That's what we are here at the Wealth Guardians. And the best fact about sitting down with us is we will create you a financial plan at no cost or no obligation. This is something that other advisors will charge thousands of dollars to do. Spending hour after hour with you to understand everything that we need to create that financial plan that is customized for you. You're not going to have to pay thousands of dollars to sit down with Doug, Garrett, and myself. All you have to pay is for your gas to come to our offices and your time to sit down with us. So that's what a financial plan is. If you realize I don't have one of those yet and I'm a few years away from retirement, then it would only make sense for you to give a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Sit down with us. Let us see how we can help you. The worst outcome is that you're going to have a free financial plan and you might be a little bit more aware of the benefits that you have with your current financial planner. Doug, what else can you add to that?
I think we summed it up for this show, but I'll tell you what, we've got a lot more to go, and I'd like to do the rest of it in our next show.
Okay.
What do you think of that idea?
Yeah. So we've got several different, the avoider, the fee first scoundrel. There's several more here that we didn't have time to go over this. So we're going to bring this spotting problematic personalities of rogue advisors to you in a future episode coming up soon. Stay tuned. We look forward to seeing you again. Unfortunately for this week, that's all the time we have. We want to thank you for joining us. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. We hope your team annihilates the other team on the field so you enjoy your weekend. This is Brice Payne. Along with me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And remember, sound financial plans do not create themselves. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.